Welcome to Geek versus Geek, where we get our two co-hosts to fight each other to the death, verbally, not physically, to determine what is the best in this subject. I am, of course, the judge, Pocky D, because I do a lot of things role-playing. So, our subject is, what is best in role-playing? We're going to have Gavin Stone.
I'm saying total imagination. Forget everything on the table, just you need a pencil, a D20, and a piece of paper, and that's it.
Versus Jeffrey Lord.
Excuse me? No. I'm all about the miniatures and the map making and the visual aspects that you'll get from D&D.
Well, general role-playing.
General play.
So, what we have here is Theater of the Mind versus Maps and Minis. Who will turn out on top, and who will get sent home to the dungeons? Now, let us begin.
What are the rules?
The rules is, you get 1 minute. You get 1 minute of one intro, 1 minute intro, 1 minute rebuttal, 1 minute rebuttal, 1 minute closing statement. You get a 1 minute closing statement, and then I get to ponder for a couple of moments and think about my life choices. And then I will decide a winner.
They're not good ones if they end up on this show.
Yeah, probably not. So, we'll begin with Gavin Stone.
All right, tell me when.
Now.
All right, so the whole idea of a role-playing pen and paper game is it's based on imagination. Miniatures and boards are fun, but that's why there are board games like Hero Quest and some other things. You don't want to be limited by what you can physically represent in the middle of the table in a game where you can literally be and do anything with some roll of a dice and a GM. There's a reason why it started as pen and paper, maybe make a couple doodles here and there, but literally it lived in your imagination because you cannot represent your imagination on a board with some little cheap plastic minis and a crappily drawn map unless it comes out of something like Hero Quest or like even Warhammer where you use that. Those aren't RPGs. That's not what the essence of this entire genre of games was created from. So yes, I'm all about Theater of the Mind because imagination.
Is that it?
That's it.
You had 5 seconds to spare. You're awesome. So, Jeffrey Lord.
He looks confused. Maybe it's because he doesn't have glasses in his glasses.
I'm not confused.
I think he's offended. How about you go now?
Miniatures and cartographing. Seriously, let's get the hands-on imagination into this. Pen and paper and dice, yeah, that's cool, but you really want to be able to see where your character is standing, what does the character look like, and the cool thing was to collect the figures. The amount of figures you can get, the dragon comes in, you know? I mean, how great is that? And the map making, as a cartographer for fantasy maps and books, everything, is those most detailed things you can ever get into as a DM. To give your players the hands-on imagination and the physical role play that you can totally go into. And all right, your character's gonna move this much. All right, you're moving this way. But if you're saying blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, I moved to the right this way. You get hit. Well, how did I know? I can't even see this. I mean, come on. The physical aspects is especially what you want for this kind of imagination.
5 seconds?
I'm done.
You're done with 5 seconds to spare. Both of you only needed 55 seconds, which is great because I have a burrito in the microwave. So, now, it's time for your rebuttal and me to get a chimichanga.
All right, ready? Tell me when.
Begin now.
I'm sorry, Jeffrey, you don't have imagination that you have to see things all the time. The best way to play a game is in your mind because you're not limited to what can you see on a table. Because yes, I may have a dragon on a table, but what if that doesn't represent what we should be battling in this campaign? The GM is now limited to what he can get on the table, what he can't get on the table. Plus, let's face it, miniatures are expensive. It's not a whole lot to buy a book, a paper, and some pencil and go to town. That is the best way where everybody can play because everyone can come to the table, sit together, and be ready to go instead of, well, let's get all the pieces and set up. Oh, you don't have those pieces? Well, I had that on my campaign. Oh, boo-hoo, Jeffrey, we can't do it because I don't have the miniatures for it. Oh, well, it's a nice map. I'm all about the nice maps, but they belong in board games like Hero Quest and Risk and Aliens vs. Predator. Come on now. There is nothing wrong with having imagination in games unless you don't have it like Jeffrey seems to not have.
And you're done. In so many ways. All right, Jeffrey, you seem to be offended.
How imaginative is your comeback going to be?
I'm more looking down to make sure both of Jeffrey's shoes are still on. So we will start now with Jeffrey.
You are such a jerk.
Well, that's understandable.
I mean, think about this. No, not you, him. Think about this. You know, when you were a kid and everything, what did you play with? You use your imagination, but when you got toys and everything, you went right on into it. Seriously, I mean, yeah, okay, pen and paper is really fun and everything, but the aspects of actually being that kind of character, you get to look for, like, okay, if you're a rogue, you have a rogue and so forth like this, and you can actually draw the aspect of a map on the table here and just roll with it. If you don't have a figure, that's okay. Use something else. Use a toilet paper roll, use a penny, use a coin, anything. A rock, for crying out loud. I like to make it to where I can play my games, take the outside elements, bring them in, and what I like to do in this, because I get to use miniatures and cartographing, I let my players design the map they want, and then I put them in that scenario, and we head on into an imagination game, instead of just saying,
5 seconds.
I'm climbing the rope, roll me a d20.
And we're done.
It's the best you got, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Was that all of them? That was all of them.
All right, let's get to our final arguments. Ready? Tell me when.
You may start now.
All right, so you want to talk about the visual aspect, but you bring a rock to the game? I mean, come on now. The other problem is with pen and papers, you have the imagination. There's no rules. Nazis, there's one set of rules. There's, oh, that's not representing a figure. You can't do that. It's a board game you're playing, so go play a freaking board game. Let's get into a much bigger world, not limited to the table, but unlimited by the group that's playing it. That is what an RPG is. It's not a LARP. It's not a board game. It is a bunch of friends getting together and creating something amazing that's not constrained by anything on the table except some dice, some papers, and a rule book. That's all you need. And you cannot beat your imaginative character in how you create and play that game when you want to be limited to a miniature on a map. How's that miniature going to climb a rope, Jeffrey? I didn't think so. You're still rolling dice, so you might as well make it look good.
You're done. Excellent. Well, Jeffrey, you have a great rebuttal to go against. I might be lying. But it is your turn, sir.
I think you're missing the whole entire thing here. Imagination, pen and paper and everything is really great, but you really, just climbing the rope, really, that's the thing you're going to use against me? That's where you get to build the setting. You get to build the city. Use boxes. Make a freaking castle out of something. Use the outside elements. You make the map for the players so they can get a more visual range of what the area that they're playing in is all about. Board games are completely different from D&D, okay? Get that straight.
There's more than just Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes. I know, but seems like this is the most common topic that we're talking about. I mean, come on, play the game of life. We're playing a little game. You're using, what are you using? You're using miniature
10
pieces.
seconds.
It gives you more of an aspect. This is the visual aspect that makes RPGs more enjoyable for all
3
around.
seconds. Excellent.
This will be interesting to see who Pocky goes with on this one.
I am very interested too, because we both have really good things here.
I am not copying out, but I would like to say this first. Before I make my decision for whichever GM this is, the GM who uses theater of the mind, I do theater of the mind, or the GM who likes to do huge maps and likes to do big dungeons like Jeffrey, you're not wrong. We are not saying you're wrong by any
We
stretch of the
know
imagination.
nobody's wrong. Pick a freaking winner already. Quit
But-
playing devil's advocate.
Why are you being so mean today?
But I'm just, because there are people who are like, am I doing it wrong? You're not doing it wrong. But Jeffrey, I have to give it to you. Because you actually...
Yes!
Because you
Oh my gosh, yes! I actually won against Gavin! Oh my, I think this is the first. Is this the first against you? I
Yes.
think this is the first.
Pocky never votes for
I'm
me.
so sorry,
No, I
man.
voted for you before.
Yes!
But here's the reason why. You actually brought up the one thing I was somebody had to bring up,
Oh.
which is improv. You brought up that it could be anything from a penny to a rock to a piece of toilet paper.
can
It can
be.
be. Yes, theater of the mind works, but the only problem with theater of the mind, and it happens to me all the time, is everyone's definition of what the rogue looks like is not always the same, and sometimes it's, unfortunately, can lead to confusion. Yes.
Pocky's a traitor to his theater of the mind.
I am.
They're
Then
watching
when
this
I
thing going,
say-
we're
how
not
about-
playing your GMs anymore.
How about this, Gavin? How about we go ahead and do an episode? You're going to play one of my games so you can see exactly what
Do
I'm
I got to
talking
come dressed
about.
in full glitter? I know what you're talking
Why
about.
would you come dressed up? It's not a
'Cause
LARP.
It's your game.
No.
It's a D&D game that we're going to
I've
play.
played
We're
all
going to play
those
an
types of
RPG
games.
game. And
I've
you'll
played
see exactly.
all those type of games. So I know exactly what you're
So-
talking about.
Yep.
So we got to wrap this up. Guys, put us on below. Who do you think actually should have won?
Shaking
Or
a
did
hand. I know where the hand's been.
So tell us who you thought should have won. Was I right or was I wrong? What do you like to do and how do you do it easily? I use Lego minifigures if I have to use people figs. They're cheap. So now next on is our main subject where we talk about other things than D&D about role playing.